Yeah, I think Wiggins is going to develop a new category this year, Role Player of the Year, and I think that that's an award that he's he'll definitely be top five.
Out of here, man.
I think he'll be top five for Role Player of the Year award.
He's one of the worst. This is giving me like heavy like Roy Hibbert vibes starting an All-Star game. Like, this just isn't. I'm sorry, this isn't doing it for me.
Yeah.
Let me put you on game.
Let's get something a little bit more lighthearted, man. Let's
Thank you.
let's talk about the All-Stars. The All-Star starters were announced on Thursday, 2 days ago, because we're recording on a Saturday. But for the Western Conference, we got LeBron James, Steph Curry, first-time All-Star John Morant, Nikola Jokic, and first-time All-Star and first-time starter Andrew Wiggins. In the East, we got Kevin Durant, DeMar DeRozan, Trae Young, Joel Embiid, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. So looking at these 10 guys, are there any people that you think were questionable as far as their selections in the starting lineup?
No, I don't think there were any question marks in this year's All-Star starting lineup because of yeah. And this is because
go on, good sir.
And this is because of the voting format. You wanted to bring in the fans, and the fans will do as they do. The thing about the NBA and what they're learning about democracy is that a direct democracy does not always yield the best results. Electoral colleges help out by balancing population density with the weight of your vote. And so the fact that it's a 50% fan vote means that if you have a darling like Brian Scalabrine in the league, then he might just get all-star votes and can make his way onto a starting rotation in an all-star team if enough Celtic fans get behind it and make a campaign, which is essentially what happened with Andrew Wiggins in this situation. He was boosted by the fact that he's in the Warriors market. He's playing overall the best basketball of his career, but statistically not the greatest in terms of, the point per game averages and such. He had some better years when he was in Minnesota. And he was more of a focal point of the offense. And because of that, along with the fact that he got a decent amount of player votes, he just happens to be one of the best guys in the league to get in position to have an all-star spot. If Kawhi was playing, if Paul George was playing, if Anthony Davis was like more consistent in the lineup, they obviously would have gotten that last front court spot. But the fact that there's now 2 and 3 where it's 2 backcourts, 3 front court spots, you're going to give it to a small forward or a wing or center, or a power forward or a center, and Wiggins just happened to fit the bill. So it was really like just a battle of just perfect timing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it yielded a result that we always think like every year somebody makes it on an all-star team that doesn't deserve it. But with this new format, you're going to see a lot of funky stuff like this happen every year.
I hear what you're saying. I'm aware of the fan vote. I understand it's wonky. I know Alex Caruso has almost been an all-star a couple different times. I know how the fan voting works. I think my issue is just the result. Like, I'm just looking strictly at the result and saying that Andrew Wiggins should not be starting the All-Star game. Like, it's that little stupid song, like, one of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. Like, it's Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins is the subject of that song. He does not belong with any of the other All-Stars. Like, John Morant has had an amazing season. He deserves to be a starter. He deserves to be starting in the All-Star game and being an All-Star for the first time. Jokic has been great. Like, DeMar DeRozan has had a resurgence. Joel has been great. Giannis is Giannis. So yeah, there's a bunch of guys in there. It's like when you look at All-Star starters, it's like, yo, this dude's a star. This dude's a bona fide star. Like, this dude's that guy. Like, it's just not that for Andrew Wiggins. He's a really good NBA player playing for one of the best teams in the league, but he's not that. So I just don't understand the voting from players, media, or from the fans in terms of like starting him in the All-Star game. But that's probably the most egregious one to me. One of them that I do think, maybe from a personal perspective and from just looking at the standard of All-Star games in the past, is Trae Young. I think call me a super fan, call me a homer, whatever. But I think Zach and DeMar should have been the starters in the backcourt for the East. I think Trae Young has been incredible, but the Hawks are 12th. They're 12th in the East. So like he's a reason that they're 12th and not 14th. But like he hasn't been good enough, and it's not his fault necessarily, to lift them out of the doldrums of the East. So I'm looking at it from a fan perspective of looking at like a guy like Zach Lavine, who up until last year couldn't sniff an all-star team because his team just was never good enough. And I think I was never on the bandwagon of saying that he should have made the all-star team before last year. Last year was the first time he should have made it because the Bulls were close to 500 when the all-star voting happened. They tanked later in the year. But like in all those years previous, I was like, yeah, Zach is an all-star quality player, but he's not, he shouldn't make the team. I think Trae Young should still make the team because he's been singularly great. But just in terms of looking at who the best 10 guys are and factoring in winning with that as well, I think it's Zach Lavine. I think that's the guy who should have made the starting spot. But are there any other snubs that you looked at for the starting lineup? Just taking like the voting out of it, like without thinking about like, yeah, fan voting sucks. They probably need to be 25%, to be honest, or 33%, and then balance that out with the fan and the media vote. But what are some snubs that you saw for the starting lineup?
To be honest, like the overall snubs, it's hard to make an argument for that because 8 out of the 10 guys who are on the starter for this list are in the MVP conversation. You know, if you think about DeMar, if you think about Giannis, Joel, Jokic, LeBron, John Morant, Steph Curry, all of these guys have had MVP conversation talk around them. You can look at guys like Luka, who's had a down year, and say that he was snubbed. I think Rudy Gobert, he's technically a part of the MVP conversation as well somehow. Just more so because of his overall impact on his team's ability to win. And then you got Karl Anthony Towns, who's had a great year as well. I think a lot of these guys could have easily slid in there somehow, some way. They could have maybe changed their standing in terms of like their position or whatever. But at the end, and I think that they are more overall deserving of the spot. But because of the rules, they kind of logjam themselves into making this format just based on position and based on this voting style that's just going to get questionable results. And so I guess I circle back to that. But yeah, definitely Luka, Anthony Cat, Lavine, as well as Gobert are guys who I think should have been on this starting list somehow, some way. But just to also counter, I think that Young deserves a starting point guard spot. I'm a stickler for just classic positions and structure, and I think he is the best point guard in the conference, so he should be starting.
That's fair. I mean, under that argument, that's fair. I think we're just looking at kind of like guards and stuff. Like the positions are a little wonky. I'll give you that. Like, because DeMar is not a guard. Like he's played literally 0 minutes at guard this entire season. He's played most of them at the 3 or at the 4 actually, and then some of them at the 3. So I mean that's a little wonky, but I mean based on the definition of positions, then like under that guys, and yeah, he's a starting guard. But
and he benefited from the fact that he wasn't listed as a front court player, because then he would have been behind.
Yeah, he wouldn't have started yet. But I mean, like, I guess at forward, you can make an argument that he could still be a starter based on the record and based on the fact that he's like top 6 in MVP. So I mean, I think there's an argument there, but I don't think the fan vote would have went that way. Yeah, I think he would have been a reserve. But just looking at snubs, I think that if we're looking at record, right, the reason that Andrew Wiggins made the starting lineup is because of the Warriors record. But there's literally another team out west that is killing it right now that has no all-star starters, and that's the Phoenix Suns. So you need to take him out and put either Devin Booker or Chris Paul in that spot. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I know the position. I know the positions. I know. I'm aware. I'm aware how it works. But it's just like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem. It seems weird that they're the best team in the conference, give or take, depending on what day or week you're talking about, and they don't have a starter in the starting lineup. I don't know, but I guess if we're looking at forwards, I probably would have picked Draymond or Cat over Wiggins, just strictly based on Draymond's defense this year, him being a defensive player of the year candidate, and because Andrew Wiggins isn't a candidate for anything. and then Cat, who's having a historically efficient season. But the Timberwolves are a 500 team, so I mean, I guess I could see that. But I would go Cat over Wiggins, honestly, in the starting lineup.
Yeah,
but that's just me.
I think Wiggins is going to develop a new category this year, Role Player of the Year. And I think that's an award that he's he'll definitely be top 5.
Out of here, man.
I think he'll be top 5 for Role Player of the Year award.
He's one of the worst. This is giving me like heavy like Roy Hibbert vibes starting in an All-Star game. This isn't. I'm sorry, this isn't doing it for me.
Yeah, man, it's tough. But yeah, I think that Booker definitely should have been somewhere in this list because he's balling and he doesn't have to destroy the stats in order to be a all-star starter, similar to Wiggins. But this is the same issue that we're having with this direct democracy situation with the fan votes. And if it was more,
Booker's stats are better though. They're better. They're better than stats. So,
I agree.
You know,
but I agree. I just think that the way the fan voting works, Booker, his fan voting was dwarfed by what Andrew Wiggins was able to get. When you look at the stats, I think Booker was at Wiggins got 3.4 million votes, whereas Booker got 1.1 million in terms of fan voting. Like
Warriors fans be playing around too much, man. Like I'll be playing around too much.
It's really
fine.
Steph fans and Warrior fans. California is a huge market, and they're on the Pacific, so they have ties to the Pacific Islands and Asia, and the Korean K-pop movement has kind of bolstered their profile. That's a whole nother discussion. But I'm telling you, the NBA needs an electoral college in order to structure the weight of these fans' votes. But because you're gonna get more wonky decisions like this.
We just gotta balance it out some, man. We just gotta do like 33, 33, 33, and then throw the extra 1% somewhere else. I don't know. Yeah.
And surprisingly, apparently Ben Simmons, on a Ben Simmons note, got 2 All-Star votes.
John Wall got 1. So I mean, neither one of them have played. So, but I mean, those are player votes. I mean, maybe all of the things we just talked about are irrelevant because players don't know how to vote either. So I mean, whatever.